everybody. You quiet down. I am Tommy. Where is that at? I am Tommy, and you are on the Love Boat, and I have lint on my hat. Can't have lint on the chapeau. Kevin Hawthorne from Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you, brother. Hey, Jane Aldrich. Barbara Aldrich, good to see you. Florida court reporter. Had a talk with a grown son who lost his job about life. You'll have problems or you won't have friends or loved ones. We are all surviving something. A lot of truth to that. There's an awful lot of truth to that. Everyone is surviving something. Everyone apparently is addicted to something. Doesn't have to be drugs. It can be habits. It can be anything, but the new statistics are terrifying. Krista Melinda, good to see you. Hey, Audra in Denver. Hey, Timothy. What's happening, Mr. Glass? Barbara Waite, good to see you. Kellyanne is here. Good, good. Sandy Wandy, what's happening? Archie's mom, good to see you. I'm feeling a little better, folks. It wasn't a great morning. The overwhelming thought of most of the people that follow the boat is that this is what happens when you expat to another country. You have a whole petri dish of a body that is exposing itself to all kinds of things that it's never had to deal with before. You get all kinds of illnesses in your first year or two living abroad. I don't know if there's any truth to that whatsoever. This is, as I said, the prevailing theory among the crew. What's happening, Wharton Thistle? Hello, fellow flotation devices. Man, I dig that. That's a shirt waiting to happen. It really is. That is a shirt waiting to happen. Life has a way of sneaking up on people. One of the things that decimated my ability to just sort of make it in society and as a normal cat was a series of crimes that I committed to get dope. And those things greatly messed up my life. I have gone into the system. I've been incarcerated, and you know, there are jokes about it. They talk about it in Shawshank Redemption. Everybody in prison is innocent. It really is not the case that I have encountered, but there are a lot of people that still swear up and down in there that they're innocent. And it's, you know, I used to think, I mean, they probably got an appeal in, like they're riding this all the way to the beach. But truth be told, there are people that are estimating somewhere in the ballpark of 6% of people in jail might be in there for something they didn't do. Hello, Josh. Good to see you. So what you end up with, sadly, is that a couple of these cases, and very often it's driven by drugs, but a couple of cases that are bad will change your life forever. And the biggest terror, I think, for somebody like me, my biggest fear was that the next time that I got pulled over, there was going to be something in the car that I didn't put there. I think that a lot of times you come across people in the business that they get to a point where they start looking at people and going, this is a bad human being. We should do something about this. And when you have all of these people who are, you know, reaching out, there's an estimated 222 cases annually in the U.S. over the course of about 10 years. It worked out to be 222 as an average annually for cops that plant evidence. This is a terrifying concept to me. And I was looking at a couple of cases today, and it's 2,227 cases of falsifying police reports, perjury, or evidence tampering, and that was in 10 years. 2,227 times where a police officer, alone or in tandem with somebody else, decided, you know what? I'm just going to frame this person. And you think to yourself, why in the name of God would somebody do that? In some cases, these are people that they just thought they're not going to catch this person any other way. Maybe the person got out of the business, but they're not very happy that they got out unscathed. But whatever the reason, more often than not, what seems to happen is these are guys that wear uniforms, right? These are patrol guys. And what they're trying to do is get onto these very elite groups. And the way you get noticed to be selected for these street enforcement teams or whatever they want to call it, where you work in tandem with federal officers. This is done all over the U.S., where the feds come in and they set up a joint task force with local law enforcement, and they get some undercover guys who are local so that they know the area, and they tag along with another undercover who's a Fed. And this is a big thing in all over the U.S. And the desire for a lot of these guys to become part of that elite street team, they start planting evidence. And I was looking at some specific cases, and the sad thing is there's so many of them. Honestly, there are so many of them. And a lot of them, you can watch YouTube videos of cops planting evidence, throwing it into the backseat of somebody's car, cupping it in their hand. And there's a guy that recently, and you can tell me what you think of this. Zachary Wester was a cop in Jackson County. He's the Jackson County Sheriff. This is in Northwest Florida. May of 2021, he was convicted on multiple serious charges, including racketeering, fabricating evidence, perjury, false imprisonment, and drug possession, all stemming from planting drugs during traffic stops in 2 years. They had to toss out over 100 cases because they didn't know if this dude was involved in just tainting the operation. Here's what's terrifying. There are a lot of people that pled guilty to having drugs planted on them because these are people that had a criminal record, right? And this guy has the ability to look at their license plate, run them, find out that they've, what they've been arrested for. And if they've got a history of meth use, you pull people over and toss a bag in their car. He did it to people that were on parole, that did nothing wrong. And now the next thing you know, they're on the next train smoking back to prison because this guy wants to further his career. His name, Zachary Wester. Really hope that I got nothing residual there, Johnny Scoville. You'd tell me, right? Like if I had tracks, just these huge, like disgusting beak. I know someone where they planted a pill in their shoe. My friend had pills and took them all when he got pulled over. Then out of nowhere, they had something in their shoe. You know what? It's frightening to me that there are people out there that care so little for their fellow man that this is something they would do to further their career or to look cool or to get accommodations or whatever the case may be. It's a disgusting concept. But this guy did it so often that there were people saying, I'm going to plead guilty because with my criminal record, if I take this to the box and I go all the way to trial and I lose, they're going to give me 20 or 30 years for this. So I'm going to cop a plea and I'm going to do 5 years or whatever, pleading to something that they didn't do. That's a broken system. That's a horrifically broken system where people are so convinced that this is going to end up screwing up their life. So this guy ends up getting convicted for racketeering. By the way, he won an appeal on the racketeering charge. Crazy thing is this. It was a state racketeering case. Nothing that this guy got busted for did the feds pick up, which I find disturbing. Maybe I just don't know enough about law. But I always thought that racketeering fell into the federal thing. However, since there was no enterprise, there wasn't him and somebody else, it was just him. This is getting, he's going to get his sentence redone. But for all of these people whose lives he destroyed, he got 12 years was his sentence. You know why? Because he's a cop, right? Honestly, these people all have a career, a lifetime of going in front of the same judges, working with the same prosecutors. I'm sorry, but that's jacked. If somebody else on the street was doing the same thing, if they were going around and framing people and they had done it to dozens of people, right? He got 12 years in prison. Just seems really jacked to me. Johnny Scoville, is it me?
No, it's not.
You should go away for whatever you did to everybody else. Stack up the time those people did. It's a broken system. And I came across the Zachary Wester thing because somebody said you should take a look at this. So I started to look at it, and then I started to do a little bit of research. And, over 2,200 of these things happen over a 10-year period of time, 222 a year. That's brutal. Seriously, that's brutal. There are 365 days in a year. What about 2/3, somewhere in there, of all of the... It's horrific. It's like rolling the dice on what day a cop is going to go and frame somebody. Yeah, Rich Bong says, my buddy had coke planted on him by Brazilian cops in Copacabana, cost him $2K to get out of it. You know, there are places that I wouldn't go for that reason. I've told the story on the boat before, but I used to spend a lot of time in Mexico when I was younger, and I had some terrible experiences that way. I was walking along the road in Mexico. I was heading to the footbridge to go back to the U.S., and I got pulled over by cops, by federales, who basically barked at me in Spanish, and then one of them said, "The fine is everything you have on you." So I gave them all of my money, and they took my shoes too. And I walked away just gritting my teeth, angry as hell. And I got about 150 yards down the street, and another set of federales lit up their lights, and I was like, "Screw this!" And I don't ever run. I've never been one of those guys, but I ran as fast as I could. And when I got across that footbridge to the U.S. side, there were soldiers there with M16s. I've never been happier to see guys with guns. For real, they backed down the other side and said, "Why are you chasing him?" And I was like, "Man, I just got robbed by these people." I had a discussion with a lady at work who thought that everyone in prison deserved to be there. I pointed out many such cases and changed her mind. Well, here's the Zachary Wester thing. 12 years. They're probably going to knock about 5 or 6 off. That's what he got for racketeering. Wrap your dome around that. Racketeering, 5 years. Here, have a nickel. You destroyed the lives of how many people? That's okay though, because you used to be a solid cop. Michael Kilgore in 2023, planting drugs on motorists. He pled guilty. He faces up to 20 years in prison. Avelino Ramirez from 24 to 25, planting contraband for his promotion, pled guilty to wire fraud. His sentence is pending. GTTF in Baltimore, planting drugs, robbing and falsifying reports and things that he shouldn't have. Sentenced to 25 years. The convictions all vacated. Isn't that something? See, they give you those headlines. Dude gets 12 years. Now they're gonna work that appeal through. I found it fascinating that they were able to charge him with racketeering in the state. I don't know enough about it, but it seemed like a very odd way to go at this. And it almost seems like they're setting these things up for easy vacated sentences or easy overturns or on appeal or whatever the case may be. Baltimore body cam video, alleged planting caught on camera. Outcome, dozens of cases dropped or under review. These are cases of where these cops in particular found people. Kyle Erickson in 2018 in New York City, planting marijuana. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, that's one that is on camera. But cleared by internal review, remains on patrol. Nothing to see here, folks. Omar Abdul Raleigh, North Carolina, 2020, planting fake heroin on black men. Fired, $2 million civil settlement, no criminal charges. What the deuce? This is, I'm not joking, randomly picking these things out of the hat. I did not seek out research and say, show me where the cops planted evidence and then got off lighter than hell. This was a no joke, random, like it created a list that was absolutely massive. And I said, I want to narrow that list down. And boom, here's what you got. You randomly pull any 6 to 8 cases. And again, I started off with the Deputy Zachary Wester and then went to Sergeant James Hickox. This is just absolutely great. Swapping DEA seized drugs. This was in January of 2025. He was sentenced to 17 years in a federal prison. He admitted to routinely stealing drugs and cash and firearms from DEA operations. Notably, he once substituted a seized kilo of cocaine with a counterfeit kilo printed on a 3D printer. Passing the stuff off as the real deal while distributing the actual drug to the street through some homeboys, right? Some friends put the dope on the street. He pocketed about $500,000, 420 some odd thousand or something that they know of. And I'm telling you, I think since one of the charges that this cat was hit for was using the wire fraud way to try to get this guy, I assume that 420 was probably mailed about His time's not going to be good. Yeah. It's what's a bummer is of all of these people, Hickok seems to be one of the few that is actually going away where they're actually going away. It seems like most of these things get overturned on appeal. The odd thing is that his case is fed. It doesn't look like the Fed cases are getting tossed out like that. And it makes you wonder, what exactly this whole phenomenon is. But I've commented so many times on the boat that you watch these videos and you go, nobody has any respect for the police. They're always cursing at them. They're always going, no, I'm not getting out of the car. Screw you. I'm calling an attorney. I'm not getting out of the car. They roll their windows up. The cop's got to break the window, drag them out of the car. I'm not just saying that anything justifies that. You got to get out of the car. But I would get a camera on the inside of my car because that has not only saved a couple of people from spending a lot of time in the joint, but it has busted some really bad cops. You can go and look at shorts. There's a genre that is just shorts of cops getting busted in the act of planting drugs and evidence. This guy Wester, let's get a look at him because he's a handsome rascal. Let's get a look at him. There he is. There's our boy. That's him on the side of the road there doing a traffic stop. And see when he was putting those gloves on? At his trial, they super slow mode, and I mean super slow mode, him on the inside of a car. And you could see like a dirty gambler would palm a poker chip, right? You could barely see the bag. He's just palming it. He's got his thumb and his finger over the top of it. He's got the thing palmed, so to speak. And I'll be damned. He finds that bag and charges the woman with it. All of these people, fortunately, are in the process of settling for an undisclosed sum of money, which I hope is enough to buy Miami. Because this is the kind of thing that should not happen to anybody. I hope they never catch Trooper Escamilla in Arkansas doing that. I know who you're talking about. That woman is a force of nature. You know what's really funny? Not funny, haha, but it's if you look at the body cams of these guys that were recording, the magic tricks that these guys do, it's like Vegas. Like they lean in the car and it looks very natural, but the body cam looks away at the perfect moment. There's no chance in hell, right? This is one of the things that really got them turned on to a lot of this Michael, what's his name? Not Michael. The whatever his name was, the most frustrating of all of them, Zachary Wester. This is one of those situations that they got turned on to him because the odds of somebody's camera malfunctioning as often as his did, or the odds of him looking away and a split second later finding the dope, if that happened twice, it would be odd. If it happened on every single one of your busts, then there's a problem. And this guy would travel back and forth from the cruiser to the car, to the cruiser to the car, go into the trunk. When they busted him, he had dope. Like this guy had meth on him so that he could plant it on people. Is that W0? W0 says, I saw that video, crazy. It is absolutely a disturbing video. I'm using the 500-year-old the cracked screen iPad because it's way easier to take notes on. And unfortunately, currently I can't read it. But this guy got a dozen years. So if you're on parole, you go to your parole officer and you go, boss, that dope isn't mine. You know what I mean? Drug test me. Their stance is going to be, we drug test you. There's nothing in your body. You are obviously selling it. Your credibility is gone because you're already somebody that is in the system. And these guys target the easiest people to screw over. And those are the people in many cases. And if you research this, so many of the people that got busted were people that were literally crawling themselves out of addiction. They were us. People just fighting to do the right thing. And I'll tell you something. One of the reasons I am where I am today, right, sitting in the building that I am in today, is because I'm terrified of it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm terrified of it. And I understand, and I don't mean I approve, but I mean the mindset that goes through a lot of these guys' dome, I completely get. Let's say you got 5 agencies, and all 5 agencies are getting phone calls every day about one person complaining about it. This guy's doing this guy's doing that. Most outrageous claims in the world. But every time those guys come together, they pull the files out and go, oh yeah, he's in my file too. I get phone calls on him all the time. And then someday they pull that person over and they think to themselves, every single DEA had a file on him. Homeland Security had a file on him, the local, DEA and whatever. Throw a bag in there. And how much traction do you think I'd get if I said, that's not mine? I haven't done that stuff. That has nothing to do with me. The sad thing is that more than likely what ends up happening is you end up pleading guilty to something that you didn't do, because the idea of letting the vindictive people, right, who sit on the bench, really horrifically vindictive people, they get very, very pissed if you take it to trial. Now, you would think it would be a fair thing. You either plead guilty and you get whatever they were going to give you, maybe a slightly better deal. But in the feds, it's not like that. In the feds, it's not like that at all. You hear stories, one right after the other, of people that were offered, say, an 8-year sentence or a 10-year sentence, and then took it to trial and the judge gives them 40. They're not doing that because the crime was so egregious that it requires, 40 years of your life. They're doing that because they want to keep that 99.9 whatever, right, conviction rate that they're always bragging about. It's not a conviction rate. It's people that plead guilty. Yeah, they win when they go to trial, but they don't go to trial much. I mean, it is so damn rare. When you sit in the county jail and you wait, you're just waiting to go to federal court. You would think over the course of doing that a couple of times and being in there at any given time from like 12 months to 18 months, depending on which case it was. But you're in jail a long time waiting to get through the system. You would have thought that I would have met a lot of people that were going to trial. I met one guy the entire time I was in there that went to trial. Everybody else cut a deal because you just can't win. Yeah. If you pay bad. Florida court reporter says you pay, don't go to trial. If you take it to the box and you make them pay and you make the judge do his job and show up and do all that, they're going to break it over your backside. They're absolutely going to beat you. So I understand why, when you start to read about these cases, how many people just toss in the cards and go, screw it, I'm pleading guilty. I told the story on a boat so many times, but when I was incarcerated, they came to me and said, did you do this crime? And I had immunity for an 11-year period of time. It wasn't going to be an issue. And I said, yeah. He said, can you tell me about the bank or whatever? And I sort of detailed it all out. And I said, why are we doing this? You know what I mean? You can't charge me with this. He said, no, we charged somebody else with it. And they pled guilty. No lie. That's jacked up. And that's a pretty honest FBI agent. If anybody else had my file or whatever and was looking through that, they may have just gone, well, screw it. The guy already pled guilty. All of the people that pled guilty have no recourse at all. Now that the world knows that this dude was actively out planting evidence on just about everybody. Doesn't matter that Zachary Wester got found guilty. If you pled guilty to him dropping dope in your car, there's zero recourse within the system, the good old US of A. You're guilty, right? Well, you have the ability to plead not guilty to it, but who's gonna? That's a terrible thing. I feel so bad for the people that had to go to prison or had to go to jail because they pled guilty, because 364 days in jail is a lot better than facing 20 years, and they take that deal, or they take a 5-year deal because they're afraid of getting 20 for a bag of dope that somebody threw in their car. He was also slick. He was he'd put in a bag of meth, and then he would put in a spoon with it, or he would put a bag of meth in there with a little cut straw to make it look like people were sniffing out of it. In a lot of the cases, he would have he'd find just enough residue in the bottom of a discarded piece of trash that he could test and then get the person arrested and drag him off. Zero tolerance kind of stuff. But it's him sprinkling dope into whatever the person had thrown into their own trash because he wanted to look like super cop. Fascinating to watch the guy on the stand, though. You see him on the side of the road, and he looks like he's etched in stone, right? Just happy. He's singing Christmas carols as he's shaking down cars. He got on the stand, and his face turned into like the worst poker face you've ever seen in your life. He actually started to twitch and do certain actions again and again, and very repetitive. And you can see it, this is something that was new to that, to taking the stand. If you know anything about, the court system, yeah, exactly. It's what Johnny was just saying what I was getting at. The fact that this idiot got on the stand. I mean, you have to be an absolute moron to dream of taking the stand in your own defense, especially if you're already deemed a stone cold piece of garbage. Rock Bandy, please take a second to hit the like button to help support the channel. I'll tell you what, people, I would appreciate it. I would really like to find the statistics again on this, because the how out of control and rampant it has gotten. There are people out there studying this. How often? Think about it, folks. 222 of them a year. That means the odds that you can get pulled over by a cop that's going to do this, it's a lottery, right? It's a lottery. The court systems are going to protect the cops. Everybody that ever gets pulled over for anything ever in their life says, that's not mine, right? They joke about it in the, I said it. Everybody has said it. What's the name of the ogre? What's the name of that donkey? Oh, Shrek. Shrek 2, when they catch the cat with the catnip, first thing he says, that's not mine, right? That's not mine. So everybody's going to drop that. There's no one that's not going to. Nobody out there immediately takes all of the credit and goes, no, that's mine. That's absolutely mine. But when you see those people on the side of the road, and it is complete and utter disrespect for the police at every level, like they just absolutely refuse to show any level of respect at all. Maybe there's a bit of a reason for that. And I'm not justifying it, but some of the actions, right? People go, I got to get on the phone instantly, right? I'm not going to sit here and let this go on. I got to make a phone call, because if I don't, and I don't back this up, when these guys start beating on me, I would watch those videos and go, why is this guy being such a jerk? Maybe they're terrified. Maybe they know two people that's already happened to. He was twitching on the stage, though. On the stand? Boy, oh boy, I'd like to play poker with him. One thing I have learned is never plead guilty, especially in the UK, says Archie's mom. It's funny, because I think I pled guilty to almost everything that I've never pled not guilty to anything. But I probably could have been pleading no low contendere to all of them. But I always wanted the judge to look at me and kind of cut me some slack. So I didn't want to go in there and go, I ain't saying I didn't do it. I always tried to at least take some form of responsibility. I can't drive for 3 months. Uh-oh. Less gas, no insurance payments. Store isn't far. Got plenty of stamps. Well, there you go, Wharton. Where I live these days, I was talking about this too with my brother today, but I can't see owning a car ever again. I really can't. It's there's just something so convenient about not having one. There really is. It's amazing. And here it's, if I had a car, I would spend more on insurance. Like in the US, my insurance monthly is more than I spend in taxi cabs. And it's just super easy to get in taxi cabs. It's very convenient to spend $1 or $2 to go out, across the entire city. I've never waited more than 3 minutes for a cab. When have you ever waited 3 minutes for a cab? Oh. Yeah. Sometimes, the only time you ever have a problem getting a cab in the city is when they close off streets for parades and things like that. They get, which is 4 or 5 times about as often as some cop in the United States is planting dope in someone's car. about 220 days to about 220 plus times a year, it gets a little bit tougher to, I'm making light of this. This angers me more than almost anything on planet Earth. And when I started telling people I was moving to South America, I shouldn't say that because I didn't tell anybody I was moving to South America. How about that, Kate? Sounds like a 2-stroke. Yeah, sorry. Great sound. No, but when people found out that this is where I was moving, the thing that I got more than anything was, man, that's extreme. That's a bit over the top. What are you doing, kind of thing. I feel so much safer here. I really do. That kind of stuff. There are always going to be crooked individuals, but you can run this and look at different places around the world and how the corruption is there. But the U.S. is, it's going to get up there where it's threatening to compete with some pretty nasty countries. I mean, and don't get it messed up. Like there are places like Thailand where your odds, if you run into a cop, the odds that they're going to plant something on you is like 40%. For real. I was researching Thailand, and they said, especially for people that, if they're in the system and known to have used drugs, you're gonna get dope planted on you every time you go to the store. You don't want to get in the car, apparently. Probably an ignorant question, but do they have something similar to Uber or Lyft there? They do. Yeah, they absolutely do. But particularly where we live, I mean, those services are huge in the city. They're very popular in the city. Around here where we live, because this is a tourist town. It's the Miami of South America, right? So it's very beach driven and water sports driven, a lot of surfing, a lot of kite surfing, things like that. So for that reason, there's a plethora of taxi cabs. I mean, a ridiculous amount of taxi cabs. So you end up, it's very, very easy to get a cab. But if you're wanting to use the Uber kind of service, they absolutely do it. They have driver services. They've got every way you could need to get around. A lot of people from the U.S. retire in Ecuador. It's supposed to be a really good place. Sandy Wendy, you'd love it. It is a very, very cool place to live. It really is. Horton, I love your attitude. Yeah, whale watching. We're still in season 2 for about another. What's that? 2.5? Yeah, I think we got about another month and a half. But we're waiting for the first. It's supposed to be sunny this weekend coming up. And if that's the case, we'll be out at the Chocolateria. We want you guys to check out that. So definitely worth seeing. It sounded extreme at first. Makes more and more sense as you share the kind of information. Sounds like you did a very smart thing. You know what? I'm not known for them, but this is absolutely I think it's one of my better decisions. If an Ecuadorian citizen wanted to visit the U.S., would it be difficult for them to get a tourist visa? No, not at all. Not at all. We have a great relationship with Ecuador. The United States and Ecuador have a good relationship. No, it would not be hard at all. Oh, man. Atlas Shrugged. It's a great book, Wharton Fissel. Fountainhead's a great book. Yeah. You're busting out some really good ones. It is so hot in Ohio, says Chicken Cherry Cola. I am sorry to hear that. What's the temperature, Johnny Scoville? Don't tell me. Is it 70 degrees?
62.
No. Wow, 62. It's almost always 70 degrees.
It was 83 today.
It hit 83 today. Oh boy. Here it comes. First summer.
But it's going to be 53 tonight.
And I don't mean first summer of our time living here. I mean first summer of the year. They do this kind of dicey kind of yeah, the seasons here are odd, but it always is very, very it's very temperate. See what I did there? It's temperate. Yes, I said it. No, the back and forth between the United States and Ecuador is fairly simple stuff, really. And as far as for people that wanting to come here, it's not really any different than almost any other place. Most want you to be able to bring some income with you. You know, that's the easiest way to get a work visa. And I don't mean investment money with you. I mean income. So if you happen to be a digital nomad, or if you make money online, or you do anything where you're part of the gig economy kind of thing, you can be getting paid wherever you live. And the United States is going to tax you on your money because you're a United States citizen till the end of time. There's no getting around it. Just no getting around it. Kind of how it goes down. But Ecuador's it's a pretty nice place in terms of tax structure as well. I love the people. For me, what makes this place, I mean, and it's lovely to look at too, but what really makes this is the people. It's a great group. And I've never been anywhere where I liked looking at the police and thinking, man, I'm glad that guy's here.
I've been saluted twice.
Yeah, they'll go by and give you a salute. They always say hello. It's a very different kind of a feel. And I'm sure it's got a lot to do with the fact that they're in a lot less danger than the cops in the US. I'll chalk that up. But there's a cause and effect, you know, without diving into, the case that I looked at, because somebody recommended it to me, almost every victim that was set up, except one, I believe, was white. In the vast majority of the other cases that I looked at, that was not the case, because of the fact that they are always targeting people that have been in the system. Depending on what city you're in, you're going to get whatever the predominant ethnic group that happens to be going to prison a lot. And everybody's been touched by this. Everybody. But the blacks have been picked on through this process more than anybody else. And when you see people that just simply don't trust the police, it's a tragedy, because they're the people you're going to call when you need help. I remember when Spanx Calhoun was a little kid, there were things that would scare the hell out of him, like every kid. But one of my biggest fears that was that, God forbid anything ever happened at the house. Imagine a guy, think about it. A firefighter shows up. He's wearing one of those Darth Vader kind of face shields. He's got a big hat on, and you're hearing, right? They come through the door. Kids are going to run like the wind away from it. When Spanky was a little kid, we used to go down to the fire station, and you'd go meet the guys, and they would do shows down there where they would put the hat on, and you go over and they let kids touch them, and they get the kids super comfortable, because God forbid they ever got to come through, right? It's they want people to be accepting of them. It's a pretty cool concept. Unfortunately, the exact opposite is happening with cops. And if you turn on YouTube and watch cop videos, you're going to see people getting wrestled to the ground. You're going to see people getting tased. And a lot of times you're going to see kids 2 feet off screen screaming mommy and daddy at the top of their lungs. And I'm sure that is a microscopic amount of what's going on out there. But it's the videos that end up online. And people watch this stuff, right? Garbage in, garbage out. This is just repetition, one right after the other, of reinforcing whatever it is that you believe. It's the echo chamber. If you're watching those videos going, all cops are crooked and all they want to do is beat people up and plant evidence and things like that, that's what you're going to see in those videos. If you're really pro backing the blue, you're probably going to see people who are doing a really tough job, and you're going, you know what? I'm glad he tased that person. That person needed to get tased. He wouldn't follow instructions. He says, get out of the car. The guy will get out of the car. He asks him nicely 25 times. Guy rolls up the window. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping he sends in the fur missile. You know what I mean? Did you catch that, Johnny Scoville? See what I did there? Fur missile. Lately, all the drunk driving videos are of women. Did men suddenly stop driving drunk? I doubt it. No, we're already all incarcerated or dead. Sadly, there's a lot of people in that particular demographic, right? Men between the ages of 18 and 55 are dropping like flies. Sadly, that's kind of where it's at. But you're right. There's a lot more videos lately, it seems, of females driving drunk. The other thing might be that the algorithm drives that. There might be a lot of videos out there specifically of men, but the algorithm decides, yeah, I'm going to go off course here, but it has to happen. Do you know the Island Boys? Do you know the Island Boys? You want to talk about two really odd individuals? These guys are twins, and they're from Florida.
They're not, one's older.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, they look remarkably like twins. You sure of that? Okay. These guys sang in a hot tub doing this. We're a couple of Island Boys. It kind of sounds like someone standing on a duck. Not the nicest of sounds. Occasionally Katie and Squirrel will get angry at each other, and it's the same kind of sound. But
They are twins. I'm sorry, you're right.
see that? They are twins. But one of them is older. I think we can both be right on this. What's that? 2 minutes? Was that be Kodiak?
No, that's right, 2 minutes.
Kodiak Red? Didn't think I knew their names, did you? I don't know the other one. But they're train wrecks. They got 10 million views in the first 60 seconds of that going up. Do you remember hearing this? 10 million views in 60 seconds. I'm sorry, what? Now you're going to tell me the internet just doesn't pick them and go, all right, we got to make these losers famous. Like, this is just going to be the best. We'll get them really rich and really famous and let them crash out epically. And in the process, influence a bunch of kids to act stupid in hopes of getting famous. I don't know. Call me cynical. But I just struggled to believe that garbage got passed around that fast. And I understand that, they weren't going, hey, you got to hear this. A lot of them were just going, holy crap, did you hear this? You know, who are these guys? Listen to how bad they crashed out. If you're not familiar with who these cats are, they still kept, do me a favor, put a deuce in the chat if you know who the Island Boys are, so I don't go back and do a huge, the history of the Island Boys. Yeah, 10 million views in the first 30 seconds. Yeah, just, are you kidding? I mean, are you kidding? But when you get that kind of viral, when it takes off that fast, there are people out there that will throw money at you, literally throw money at you. Since then, they're spiraling the drain. There's been raids on their houses. They were apparently had a guy that killed someone in their house for a couple of days and wasn't good for their reputation at all. Spiraling out of control. Gun charges, obliterated serial numbers, pills, just all bad, right? All bad. And then they open an OnlyFans page because that's, you know, running out of stuff to do, I guess. So they got an OnlyFans page. You know what they did there, Johnny Scoville?
I heard they,
Yeah, that's what they did. Not lying. They were making out with each other. Twins. Make you throw up in your mouth a little bit there. Hey, hope everyone is doing well. Hey, Tommy Sin. How are you, my brother? Good to see you. Glad you are here. Hey, do me a favor, send me the email you said that you sent to me and make sure it's going to just my name, not the captain one or any of the other ones. I couldn't find your email. So you need to send me another one. Audrey says to super douchey. Yeah, right? I mean, absolutely. What a train wreck these two are. Barbara sums it up. I think, yeah, that's it right there, isn't it? Ew. Here's the funny thing to me. They couldn't sing. They couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. There weren't really any lyrics. Didn't they just keep repeating their Island Boys or something?
yeah.
It's foul. It's flarn and foul and nastiness and all in a bad way. It's filth, flarn, and filth, and not in the good way. You know what I mean? All bad. All bad. But the internet made those fools rich and famous overnight. And it took them a couple of years to crash through all the money they made overnight. You cannot convince me, folks, that the algorithm or the people in Hollywood or whoever it is, there's just a plan. This is, you notice there's another great emoji. That pretty much sums it up right there, don't you think? They suppress good content, and they're trying to erode the fabric of the good old US of A, and the rest of the world. But definitely look at what gets pushed out. Look at what gets pushed out. You're going to tell me for real that everyone on the planet thought, you know what music needs right now? I mean, damn, Kodiak Red and his brother. Yeah, the hot Tua girl as well. But you can't mess with class. I'm sorry. You know, if that were my daughter, I'd be like, wow, could there have been any other way you could have gotten famous except explaining the Hawk 2 procedure? Bummer. Huh? So it's not how I want my kid to get famous. I'm sorry, I just don't. I just, you know. When my daughter lived in Mexico, it was nice to visit a country that was Christian. Sorry if that offends anybody. No, you know what? Here's the deal. That doesn't offend me in the slightest. I don't want to think what they could carry in a bucket, says Wharton Fissel. And now I'm thinking about it, Wharton. Now I'm thinking about it. No, Renee B., I think you nailed it. It's nice not to feel like an outlier. I mean, if that happens to be your belief, it's not a popular one these days worldwide, right? We're universally not thought of in a good light. And maybe some of that was deserved from people that called themselves Christians from an earlier generation. And some of it is just because I think we're getting to that time on earth where they said it's going to get real hard to believe in the end. And you're going to catch a lot of crap for it. There's a lot of things in life you could catch crap for. That would be a whole lot worse. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Yeah. So Do me a favor. If you find yourself getting pulled over, it's probably a good idea to comply with the police officers. But if I were getting pulled over now in the U.S., I'm not lying. I would be one of those people, and I would say it very nicely, but I'd say, "Do you know who Zachary Wester is?" Because I don't want drugs put in my car, man. I don't want, I can't tell you the number of times I watched where people he said, "Would you have a problem with me searching your car?" Not at all. Do it. Let's get this over with. I'm trying to get back to work or whatever the case may be. No, search my car. It's not usually the response. Very often you get like I did when we got pulled over that day. Yeah, you can search, but why again are you trying to do this? What's your probable cause? Because it seems odd. You just want to jump into the back of my car kind of thing. When you see people go, no, let's do it. Just get in there and get it done. And then have somebody plant dope on you. It's a sad thing. He'll become a verb. Don't get westered. You know what? It wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad. 12-year sentence, which means realistically, you're going to have to bring him about 85% of that, right? State time. Could even be a little bit less than that. I don't think they're going to think it's violent crimes. Let's say he's doing 85 though. They're going to knock 5 off the top of that because of that appeal. They're going to knock 5 off of that. So his 12 is going to go down to, I was told there would be no math. Is that 7? I think it's 7. Pretty sure it's 7. So he's probably going to end up doing a nickel.
It's going to be a nasty nickel.
That's going to be a nasty nickel. He deserves to have it be a nasty nickel. Daniel says, have surveillance at all times. I agree. Hey, boat fam, can't stick around, but wanted to say hi. Hey, and 111. Jimmy Fowler, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by. Having a camera system is a great idea. If you can have one in your car so that you're filming what's going on, having one at your house in this day and age is essential. And here's the thing. If you're not living the life you should be yet, if you're still in the life, if you're out there and you're running and gunning, keep in mind that you're on camera every single place you go. I watch people on some of these videos I'm watching, and guys are standing in front of a person's house, slinging dope, right? Passing stuff back and forth, perfect ring cam, one door after another. You cannot do crime anymore. You hear me? You can't. You got to get a job. Crime doesn't pay. It's, especially in the United States, there's no chance in hell you're not going to be anywhere in the U.S. that you're not on camera these days. It's like that here. And this place is, the Malecone. I don't mean the entire town.
Well, the Malecone's got cameras.
Yeah, no.
Nowhere like.
No. Off of this one street, you're not going to run into cameras. Unless they're on somebody's house. But I definitely would have a camera on my house. Just seems to me to be a very good idea. Having a camera system. Quibs had a really good system at the house in Bug Tussle. It was a fantastic setup where you could just, you could, from your phone, wherever you were in the world, you could just sort of thumb through it and see what's going on in the house. It was a good setup. I called I asked somebody, Jason, the agent, answered. I said, are you human? It replied, it was AI. I said, you're not real to it. Get me a real person. I like it. Barbara Wade says, assume you're on camera. Yeah, and assume the microphone's hot too. Because I promise you, that's the day and age that we're living in. So it was this was a tough day, folks. I really do think I'm catching every single bug you possibly can when you move. I've never been arrested and did a lot of questionable things 40 years ago. After having experience with the legal system with my son, I'm always cautious. You have to be. You have to be. So many of the cases that I started to research were guys that just wanted to further their career. There's no malicious intent. It has nothing to do with you, right? They just want, this is their opportunity. They're going to drop a sack in the car because they're trying to hit those numbers. They want, the cops that find dope at every other pull, every time they pull somebody over. These are the guys that get overtime, right? They want busts being made. Doesn't make them bad people. These are cops at the top really hoping that, hey, they're getting this dope off the street. Yeah, out of the police, the cop's trunk. Gets the dope out of the cop's trunk, plants it on the person they pulled over. It's messed up. Super messed up. And what's more messed up is when I start to tell you what happens to these guys, they vacate the guy's charges. Where are we hearing about it? Why is that? Because we always hear the headlines. The cop got 12 years. You got to dig like a monkey to end up coming across the part that says he won an appeal and they overturned the racketeering. And I when I start researching these things, I yell at Johnny, which is probably not fair. I'll be like, man, listen to this. This is insane. But to me, I don't know. When a cop says my body camera magically turned off, right at the exact moment of this, oh no, that one got deleted. This guy had dope in the trunk of his car. He should be doing life. I'm sorry. To be able to not care enough about a family. There's one video of this guy where he's on the side of the road. Let me see what he. I showed you the picture of him. Look, let's make everybody feel better. That's better. That's better, isn't it? Now he looks like a convict. Doesn't look like a cop anymore. And that's what he is. The guy's a convict. That's not a good person right there. He really isn't. He had no problem busting people whose kids are crying in the car. In one case, he says, listen, because you got that little one in the back, you know, I don't want to make this traumatic. I won't cuff you up while they can see. Well, that's awfully kind of you. Okay? Good looking out. Good looking out, officer. There's our boy. There's our boy. They wear short sleeve shirts. So the theory has become that the dope was always in the gloves or pinched in the palm of his hands. He wasn't finding a lot of, 2-ounce bags or half-pound bags. Most of this stuff was sort of dime weight, a gram here, an 8-ball or whatever, 3.5 grams, 8-ball. But it didn't much matter because what he was trying to do was just be prolific. Every time he pulled somebody over, and he was a magician. Like a cop would search the car with him, find nothing, and he'd go, oh, if you had looked under this little piece of body molding in the back, you see, when I pulled up, I saw him messing with that body molding. Kind of a hustle. But here's a dude, gets away with this, well, until he doesn't. I hope he's enjoying the hell out of being in the joint. Because no matter where you put somebody like that, he's in danger. Everybody inside. This is what they hate most in life. Think about it. They're all in there doing anywhere from 5 years to their entire life in prison. Half of them yelling, I didn't do it. You're going to bring in a cop that framed people? I never got caught back in my misspent youth, and I have some guilt and a ton of shame over it. You shouldn't. Barbara Waite, you really shouldn't. Here's the thing. Even if you had gotten caught, it takes a lot of getting caught to get in trouble. You'd be shocked at the number of chances I was given. They give a lot of chances for you to turn your life around. You can do drug court, you can do boot camps. Unless you do something hideous, you shoot somebody or something the first time around. But I would get caught stealing, and they would write me a ticket at the place. And you'd walk off and just have to go to court. And I got more chances than I should have. I promise you, I got way more chances than I should have. You know what, Timothy? I'd say there's a pretty decent chance that's going to happen. People, I am stuffed up. Can you hear me? I'm going to have to go for a walk out on the Malecone. When I'm not healthy, the air conditioning is it's tough. But I wanted to come on and talk about this. I'm going to be, there's a reaction video that I'm intending to do coming up this week with Johnny Scoville that you're not going to want to miss. We're going to start doing some reaction videos. I have a question for you. Have you ever heard someone start the sentence with the word amphitheater?
I have.
You have? I want you to kick that one around. Have you ever heard somebody start a sentence with the word amphitheater? Right? That's the opening line. Like, open a book, first word, amphitheater. We have a video of a guy speaking, and he makes Boomhauer, right, sound like David Niven. Barbara, I have very little shame. I was a kid without proper parenting. I dated a fraternity guy, oh boy, who was a trafficker. Coke made me feel stronger and more comfortable in my body. Yep, I get it. And those fraternity guys are no good. Let's keep that real. No good. No bueno. So they say down here, Johnny Scoville. No bueno. All right, people, tomorrow morning, I hope to be back. Do me a favor. if you're one of those ones that participates in the ones, give me some ones. That Johnny and I are feeling better tomorrow. Thursday is the day we go to the rehab, and that's the most important day of the week around this camp. We would really like to be feeling good by then. So we'll take all the ones you can get tomorrow morning. Stop by. We're going to have some fun. Thank you all for spending time with me. I love you guys. I really do. Between now and the next time I see you, put a little love in your heart. I'm Tommy. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.